Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 10 of the Catherine Crochets podcast. My name's Catherine. I'm a crochet designer from South London in the UK, and this is my podcast where I talk about all the recent crochet projects that I've been working on and new designs and things like that. I've got a few things lined up to talk to you about today. There's a bit of news about something that I'm doing in exactly about 58 minutes from now, so hopefully this podcast won't take too long to film. I'm doing a giveaway to say thank you to everyone who's been watching and subscribing and commenting and liking on my podcasts, and for joining and watching today. As this is my 10th podcast, I thought making it to double figures was a good moment to say thank you and celebrate, and a nice time to do a giveaway. So that will be to win any one of my patterns that you like. So if you've already got one or two, you can choose a different one, or if you haven't got any, then it's a chance to try one for the first time. So there'll be more details about that later on in the podcast, explaining how to enter. Then I've got, so I'm just looking down at my notes, I've got a couple of finished items to show you, one very nearly finished item, and then I'll talk about a little bit more about what I'm working on at the moment and some future plans. So it is, I was going to say the date, Friday the 12th of November, I believe, and it is about 10 o'clock here in the UK. It is grey and rainy outside, so hopefully this isn't too dark and gloomy for you. It's proper autumn weather here, really. The leaves are all turning colour on the trees, so it's quite pretty, but it's also quite grey and blustery, really. Where was I? So what I'm doing in an hour's time, so by the time you watch this it will have already happened, because I won't be able to upload this before I do it, but at 11 o'clock today I'm going to be having a live chat on Instagram with one of my Instagram friends, Marta, from Marta Crochet Designs. I'll put a link to her profile in the show notes if you want to check her out. And we're just going to be having a cup of tea and chatting about what we've been up to recently. So it will be live, but I believe it will also be available on Instagram to watch afterwards as well, the recording of it. So if you'd like to have a look at that as well, then I'll put a link to that in the show notes as well. There might be a bit of repetition, I imagine, since I'm filming it straight after this one. It'll probably be the same sort of projects that I'm talking about, but you'll also be able to find out, meet Marta if you don't know her already, although I'm sure a lot of you already do, and find out about what she's been up to and the sort of things that she likes to make as well. So that's the news. Moving on to finished items. I've got two finished items to show you today. The first one was a really quick make. I think I did it in one day, possibly two, certainly one weekend, and it is this tam hat, which the pattern is called the Boho Tam, and it's from the Underground Crafter, and again there'll be a link to her account and the pattern in the show notes if you want to check it out. I think she used a slightly chunkier yarn to make hers than mine. This is some brown Aran yarn that I had already left over from something, so I had to adapt it a little bit to make it, put in a few more rounds and also bring it round, and then obviously the decreasing was different because I'd done more stitches, but it wasn't too much complicated. And also I made this bit here so you can see where it comes in. There's these rounds here which I think were double crochet or single crochet US. No, it was yeah, it was a chain stitch and single crochet. But anyway, I put in a few more of those there than were in the pattern, because just to give it a bit more of a, I don't know what you call that bit, but to make that bit a bit bigger. And I also had to adjust it as well, because the pattern is for an adult size hat, and although this one would probably fit an adult, it was for my daughter who is 11, and she did want it big. That was another thing. I kept trying it, holding it on her, and she kept saying, make it bigger, make it bigger. And I did. Then it was absolutely massive. So then I frogged back a few rounds after she'd gone to bed, and then brought it in this last bit a bit sooner, otherwise it was just going to look ridiculous on her. But the reason I made it for her is because her topic at school at the moment is World War II, and they seem to be focusing on things that happened in the UK during World War II. So things like they've been learning about evacuees and Anderson shelters so far and things like that, rather than the whole of World War II. I don't think they might touch on it. They haven't yet. I don't know if they'll be doing the Holocaust or that in this specific unit. They have a different topic each half term, and they're quite specific. So this one might be more sort of about the home front aspect of World War II. Anyway, we'll find out. But they had a dressing up day where they had to dress up as a child from World War II in the UK. And someone came into school and they did all sorts, they learned loads of stuff about the World War II. She came home telling us loads of things. It was, I think she had a really interesting day and really enjoyed it. So they had to dress up. So she had lots of woolly items. And when I Googled ideas for costumes for this sort of thing, in all of the pictures, especially the girls, were wearing these sort of big floppy hats, which I didn't know, but it seems it was a thing in the late 1930s and 1940s if you were a child in the UK, especially a girl, I think, to have some sort of floppy brown knitted, although this is obviously crochet, I imagine they're probably more knitted, but maybe some were crocheted, hats. So I made her this, and then we managed to cobble together the rest of the costume from bits and pieces that we had at home, which was good. So that was nice. So she had a really good day, and I think I'll put in a couple of photos now actually if you want to see what she looked like wearing it, rather than me just twiddling it around. And I think she looked really nice in the hat. The hat has since been moved to the bottom of her wardrobe. I found it there this morning before I was filming. I was looking around to find out where she'd put it. I don't know if she'll wear it again. Maybe her younger sister can wear it if she has the same dressing up day when she's in year 6. But she did look really nice on her. Anyway, so that was my first finished make, really quick one with stash yarn, and yeah, really pleased with that one. Might have to go in the dressing up box though. Moving on to my next finished make, which is something I showed you in the last episode, and it wasn't quite finished, but it was getting there. And this is a shawl that I made. Just checking I'm showing this to you the right way around. No, it probably doesn't make much difference on the podcast. But yeah, this is a shawl that I made for Hobby Yarn's Hobby Cozy Fall Challenge. I'll just lift it all up like this and disappear for a moment so you can get a sense of it all. I haven't blocked it. I think it would probably benefit from a bit of blocking, especially because the corners are sort of curling a little bit. But I'll pop it on as well in a second so you can see what it looks like when I wear it. So this was made with, like I said last time, with Hobby Yarn's soft alpaca yarn, which is a 4-ply yarn, really soft and snuggly. I used tapestry crochet to do these leaf shapes, and I absolutely love the combination of these, of the blue and the green. It possibly doesn't show up so much from the film. Let me see if I hold it a bit closer. Can you see? I love that combination of the blue and the green, and I've got a bit left of each of them, and I've got, so I think I'm going to make something else with that. I've got an idea, I'll tell you about that later if I remember. But I really like this warm sort of coppery colour as well. I can't remember what the names were of all the colours, unfortunately. I think they had names, they might just have numbers, I'm not sure. But anyway, really pleased with this, really snuggly. It just needs a bit of a wash and probably a block, and then I need to write up the pattern, and I'll just pop it on for you to see. I like to wear my shawls wrapped around like this mainly. So sit up a bit taller. There you go, can you see? I'm sort of squatting a bit now. So you can get the nice blue snuggly bit around your neck, and then these lovely pattern parts here and here. So I'm really pleased with that, and I'm looking forward to wearing it. I think it's going to keep me really warm, and this is a real me sort of colour, this one as well. So I think I'll wear this a lot. I'm going to take it off now though, otherwise I'm going to get too hot talking to you. So that I'm going to write up when I get a chance. I've got 3 completed shawls at the moment. The other 2 are on the floor over there. One of them is the green Minerva shawl that I made with the yarn I got from Ribbonets, which I've spoken about on here before. One is a commission for a magazine, which is secret at the moment, and that's coming out next spring sometime, spring or early summer. And this shawl, so I've gone a bit shawl mad recently, and there's 3 now lined up waiting for me to find time to write up the patterns for them. Just have a bit more tea before it goes cold. So hopefully I'll be able to find the time to write those up soon. I think, well, obviously the one for the magazine you won't see for a while. This one I think I'm going to write up for the Minerva shawl, because it will be easier and quicker to write up. And I mentioned before, when I do the Minerva shawl, if you remember, it's a bit more complicated, and so I'm going to do at least a photo, if not a video tutorial, of the more complicated bits. So I'm going to remake small sort of swatches of those bits to do a step-by-step showing how to do it. So that will take a bit longer anyway, but this one shouldn't take me too long to write up once I actually get round to it. So those are my 2 finished items, and next up is a nearly finished item which I had hoped to have finished to show you today, and it is so close. So I think I'll probably end up showing it to you again next time when it's completely finished, but I won't talk about it for too long then. I'll try not to, because I'll talk about it a bit longer now. One thing I found is having these podcasts and sort of setting a target date in my mind for when I'm going to film. It's really good for getting things finished off. It sort of spurts you on to, oh well, I'll try and finish that off so I can show it. And this shawl, it's been on my floor in a nicely. It's been on my floor ready to be written up for, well, I'm not sure, a good week, maybe 2 weeks now. So it's not that long, but I thought it was finished, and I just got it out the bag ready for the podcast that I'm filming now. I realised that there was still about 10 ends that I hadn't sewn in, so I just quickly sewed them in for the podcast. But so it's really, I wouldn't have got, probably if I wasn't filming, I wouldn't have got around to doing that for much longer. So filming this podcast is good for helping me finish things off and get things done. So the next one, I don't know if you can guess what it is if you've been watching for a while or follow me on Instagram, but it is my revival sweater, which this is the neck. So it's a bit hard to lift up. I'll pop it on in a minute to show you. So there's a cowl neck. It's got the body, it's got 2 sleeves, and the only bit that's missing is the ribbing at the bottom. And the reason I haven't attached it yet, I have made the ribbing to go around the bottom, but my tension is different to the tension in the pattern, and the ribbing is supposed to pull in the bottom of the jumper, but which I've learned recently actually has a completely different meaning in the US to what we mean by a jumper here in the UK, so sweater. But my ribbing, can you see it's bigger? You possibly can't, but anyway, it is a little bit bigger than the width of the bottom of the jumper, and it's quite a wide bottom of the jumper anyway. I'll show you in a moment when I try it on. So I've sewn in the ends, which was a bit daft, but I'm going to see if I can unpick them and frog back a few rows of the ribbing and then rejoin it so that the ribbing is slightly smaller and will actually pull in the bottom of the jumper. If I can't do that, if the ends are just a bit of a mess, I'm not sure if I'll be able to cut maybe where they are. I'll see if I can do something like that, but if I can't, I'm going to remake it. And if I do remake it, I've got plenty of this grey yarn still. What I might do as well is make it a bit wider, just to give the jumper a little bit more length, and I'll explain why in a moment. So in the pattern, depending on what size you're making, you make, oh, I should say as well, this pattern is, I'm sure you know, it is the Revival jumper from Heather at HD Designs Crochets, and I'll link to her account and the pattern in the show notes. But yeah, so in the pattern, there's various sizes obviously, and the number of granny squares you make for the front and back panel depends on what size you're making. There's also, I think it's in the pattern, but definitely lots of people on the projects I've seen on Ravelry, you can do like an extra row of grannies underneath. So I went for the smallest number of grannies, which was this 3x4 arrangement. And this, the idea is that this then results in a slightly cropped jumper. But my grannies ended up, I think, bigger than they should be in the actual pattern. So it's quite wide on me, this jumper. A bit wider than I would have liked. So if I were redoing it, I'd make them with a smaller hook size. But then, because possibly because it was wide, and actually I should have really realised from the start, but I don't normally wear cropped things. I prefer a bit more length on my tops. So I should have really just, I think I was just being lazy and thought, oh, I'll make 12 grannies for each side, and I should have just made 16 to start with. But anyway, what I've done, which I've seen at least one other person has done, is I've added, following the stitch pattern for the sleeves, I've added a few more rounds underneath the grannies just to give it a bit more extra length. And so that's why I'm thinking if I do remake the bottom ribbing, I might make it a bit deeper than here, so that it just gives it even more length. So I'll put it on now to show you. And then you can see what you think about the length. Also, with my tension being off, the sleeves ended up, I stopped before crocheting the full instructions for the sleeves, but even then they have ended up a bit longer than they should be really. So what I've been doing is, that's the ribbing for the end of the sleeves there, but what I've been doing is folding that over backwards, which I think still looks quite nice, to remove a bit of that extra length. They're still quite long, so they sort of, when I wear it, they'll cover my hands a bit like that, otherwise it bunches up and looks a bit dark. But anyway, that wasn't a complete disaster really, with the sleeves being too long. But here you go. So this is my Revival sweater. Now, what I'm going to do is move the camera and so you can see the whole thing, because I can't move any further back at the moment, so I'm going to move the camera back a bit. Here you go. So here is the whole thing, so you can see the sleeves. If I pull them sort of so they're not bunched up, they are a bit on the long side, but not too bad really, and it is quite short. So once I put on the ribbing, hopefully if I make it a little bit deeper, I'll hold up the current ribbing, it would come down to about there, which is still, it looks quite nice, but I think you have to wear it with the right top underneath, which this probably isn't. I've got two at the moment anyway, because it's chilly, but maybe if I just had one of them. Yeah, so I might remake this ribbing just to make it a little bit deeper, to give it a bit of extra length. Other than that, I'm really pleased with it. I love the colours, I love the fit across here, I love the neck. I quite like having slightly longer sleeves actually, it just makes it feel cosy and snuggly. The other thing, I think it looks great from the front, like across the front, the fit across the shoulders and chest is good, but at the back, can you see, if I turn around, it's really loose and baggy. So I'm hoping with the ribbing that might pull it in a bit, but otherwise I'll just have to make sure people don't look at the back when I'm wearing it really. Right, I'm going to sit back down again. Yeah, so really happy with how that turned out. Love the colours. So many people have made this design with the grey main colour and different colour grannies, and it just looks really good. I think it's a really good combination, so I'm pleased I just sort of copied that idea. And I mean, that is the way the original pattern was made. I've got a bit of fluff here. And that is the way the original pattern was made, so I think it's a really good colour combination for this jumper. And my husband and my daughters, when they've been watching me making it, have been sort of saying, are you really going to wear it? I don't think they can quite believe that people would want to wear granny squares. I don't know, but I absolutely love it. And they haven't actually seen me wearing it yet. They've seen, my husband had a quick peek and saw the jumper. I had it out just earlier. So I don't know if seeing me with it on will change their minds, hopefully. I love it. And they said, will you wear it out of the house or just at home? But I think it looks really good. I think it could definitely be worn out of the house. What do you think? Let me know. Do you think this is an at-home only jumper, or could it be worn out and about? I think it could. Oh. So that is very nearly finished, and I think I've chatted about it enough, but once I've put the ribbing on the bottom, I will show you that as well next time, if you're interested, and then you can see how the final fit is and the final look. Right, what else? I made a list. Let me check my list. I think I have, that's everything I've finished and nearly finished. Right, so at the moment now, apart from finishing off the very last bits of this jumper, which is what I've been working on mainly the last few days to try and get it ready to have something that I could put on to show you today, I'm also working on a blanket commission for a magazine, which I need to get finished really by the end of the month, because I need to get it posted by me to them so it arrives early December. And it's quite a big blanket with a lot of stitches, so that's taken quite a while and I need to just push on with it. I've made about a quarter of it now, well, more than a quarter. I think I'm nearly at a third. But it's a square blanket made in the round, and it just gets bigger and bigger, so obviously it's one of those projects where each round takes longer and longer and longer to do. So you sort of feel like, oh, I've done quite a lot. Like you might be sort of halfway out in terms of the number of rounds, but then obviously the last half of rounds take so much longer to do than the first few, which are really quick and short. So yeah, I just need to really focus and on that one and do it and get it done. But once that's done, I've got a few ideas of what I want to make next. I have got, it's all planned out in my head, a new blanket design which I want to make and hopefully release maybe early next year. It's going to be made of squares, small squares, partly, but not just small squares, and I'm not going to say anything more other than that yet. I haven't decided on the colours for it, but it will use tapestry crochet. So if you've got any ideas of what colours you think I should use for my next blanket design, let me know. I tend to fall back on, I think, quite often colours that I know have worked before. For example, both my Midnight Diamond and my Clarissa have that sort of pale cream or off-white background, and so does my Gunter blanket as well. So in my mind, that's how this next one is as well, but I would like to try something different. So if you think, let me know if you think I should go for a different background colour other than cream, and what that should be. So that's my next big project, but I'm not going to let myself start that until I finish this commission, which I just need to get done. Also, we went on holiday to Deal in Kent in September, and they had a little yarn shop there, which I popped into, and I bought these skeins of, it is Bo Peep Pure, from West Yorkshire Spinners, and I used this yarn in different colours, but it had the cream but with a green as well, which I think was called Rosemary or Sage, something like that, to make my Rowan leaf wrap. And it is really, it's wool, 100% wool, but it's really smooth and soft and not scratchy or itchy at all like wool can sometimes be. So I've got these, and I've decided I'm going to make a cowl with them, and it's either going to be tapestry crochet or, yeah, it is, I think it's going to be tapestry crochet really. I've sort of got an idea in my head of how it's going to look, so I'm thinking that'll be a relatively quick project, but I'm quite keen to get that done as well. And then I got it a while ago now, I haven't mentioned it, but like lots and lots of people, I bought a copy of the new Morit magazine, which is absolutely gorgeous, as I'm sure you've seen and heard, and has loads of beautiful patterns in it. Lots of them need a 4-ply yarn, and I don't have that much of it in my stash. So I'm quite keen at the moment to try and not buy too much more yarn and use up what I've got, but it has got lots of beautiful patterns. And earlier when I was mentioning that I had an idea of what I was going to make with the leftover green and blue yarn from this shawl, the one I'm thinking of making, depending on whether I've got enough, is I don't even know how you say it, but it's these mittens. I don't think I've probably got enough for the cowl. Well, I might do, you never know. But it's these mittens, which spry, I'm not quite sure how you say it, but they're absolutely beautiful. So I'm thinking I might have a go at those with the leftover yarn from that shawl. I'm getting really warm now in this jumper. I might take it off actually before I melt. Hang on a sec. That's better. Well, that'll be good when it gets cold, for when it gets cold, definitely. But it's a little bit hot for today. So, yeah, those are my plans, and writing up all 3 shawl patterns. which all I've got left to say, I think, really, is how to enter the giveaway. So thank you all again for watching and being with me and joining me on this podcast journey. Really appreciate everyone who's watched and liked and followed and commented. It's so lovely to hear from you all. So to celebrate this 10th episode of the podcast, I would like to give everyone who's watching a chance to win one of my patterns, anyone they like. So all you have to do if you'd like to enter is leave a comment saying which of my patterns you would choose if you won the giveaway, and I'll put a link in the show notes to my Ravelry and Etsy stores so you can see all of my patterns. Some of the ones on Ravelry are free, so obviously you're welcome to those, but there's no point choosing one of those if you win, because you can get those for free anyway. You don't have to win a giveaway to get them. Also on Ravelry, some of the patterns there, I think there's 2 or 3, probably 3, but possibly just 2, I can't remember, are patterns which are currently available in issues of Crochet Now magazine. One's in the current issue, one's in a older issue, but you can still buy digital copies. So those I can't give away to you yet until 4 months after the publication date. So I think the next one, which I'll be able to release myself as a pattern, is the Gunter blanket, which I'll be able to release I think in December, because it came out in August. So if this is getting complicated, but if one of those patterns is the pattern that you'd like to choose if you win the giveaway, you're welcome to select it. If you win, what I'll do is I'll just send you the pattern when it's available. So for example, if you chose the Gunter blanket, you'd be able to get it next month. If you chose the most recent one, which is the Good Vibes scarf, which came out in the October issue, that would then be available in February. If you wanted that particular pattern, you just have to wait until February for me to give it to you. But any of the other patterns which are available to buy from my Ravelry store, and any of the patterns which are available, which is basically anything that's on in my Etsy store, I can send those to you straight away if you win. So sorry for all the long explanation, but if you'd like to enter, take a look at all of my patterns and just comment below saying which one you would choose if you won the giveaway. And that's about it for today. So I have got now about 20-25 minutes before I'm going to be chatting with Marta. So do take, if you didn't catch it live or haven't already seen it on Instagram, do pop over to Instagram and take a look at that chat, because hopefully it will be fun and interesting and enjoyable. And personally, I always really like watching crochet podcasts or the chats, that sort of thing. Not that I've seen that many chats before. When I'm crocheting, it's really nice to have on in the background. So thank you. I've managed to get to the end of the podcast and I've still got half a cup of tea left. It's getting cold. Thank you very much for watching. Do please think to follow my account if you enjoyed this and would like to watch more. Comment below if you want to enter the giveaway, if you just want to chat, and liking this video would also be fabulous. So thank you very much, and hope you all have a lovely day and a lovely weekend. Bye bye.